Hey, what's up? Good morning, Asphalt Lifers and our Atlas community. So excited. It is May. Oh my goodness, where is this year going? I cannot believe it, but I'm so excited to have you all on the call. Got a lot of really exciting things to talk about, and one of my favorite people that I've recently become acquainted with, Jim Johnson, is on. What's up, Jim?
Not a whole lot, TRX. Super excited to be here with the Asphalt folk that you guys work with here at Atlas. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun. We have also Nathan, which is Nathan, who's on from Contractor Coach Pro as well. Hi, Nathan.
Good morning, Tiara, and everybody else out there.
Good morning. These guys know a lot, have a lot in their head, and we'll be tag teaming today on the webinar. And of course, super excited to have you guys on. But lots of great stuff happening in the world of Atlas. Want to always remind you guys to be sure to check us out on social media to find out what events we have coming up. Our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. We are like on social media at full throttle. So be sure to jump on and check us out. Also, we love your feedback. We always want to hear that. And so I'm going to add in the chat now the link to where you guys can actually send us feedback. Believe it or not, we actually want to hear it. We want to know what you like and what you don't like. So check out that URL, atlasroofing.com/Atlas webinar. That will get you to a page where you will see 5 questions that you can answer quickly to give us a brief feedback on what you thought about this webinar. The essentials of hiring and training a leading sales team, which is a big task to cover in an hour, so I won't belabor the time, but let's just go ahead and jump in. So let's go through the agenda for today.
Well, trying to move. There we go. Let's see. Did I go too far? Oh. All right, there's the agenda.
Okay. So the agenda, listen, we're going to give you the ultimate game plan. So many things that go into building a strong team, but it all starts with great people, great culture, HR, accountability, having a strong process, how you push that process through into your marketing funnel and then your sales strategy. And then finally, the final product, which is where we step into production, having a strategy for your training, recruiting, and hiring, onboarding your talent. And so there's so much to cover. And I'm just so excited that you guys are on. I know that you have a wealth of knowledge to share. And so let's talk about you for a second. Will you hit that bio slide? I know it's like
there it is.
chock full of really good stuff. Yay!
Yeah.
All right. So Jim has a long history. I will not go through all of this, but some of the highlights is that he was the owner of CRSI, and then he created. A lot of you guys know Silver Lining and are familiar with that, and then went on to be the director of sales for AccuLink. Finally, he decided to branch out and start Contractor Coach Pro. Guys, if you're on this call, you have not gone on Facebook and liked that page, that Contractor Coach Pro Facebook page, that group, there is a ton of really great information on there. Jim does weekly calls with contractors, and my favorite part about him is that he has a heart to really help guys scale and scale properly. So I would just highly recommend that you take a second, go on the Facebook page, reach out to Jim, reach out to Nathan, follow up with them, and make sure that you're listening to all the great stuff going on with him. Hey, what's up, Brian? I forgot to do this, and I apologize, you guys. I'm so excited to get into the content this morning. But if you are on the webinar right now, which it looks like a lot of you guys are jumping on, and then there's a lot of people still waiting in the waiting room. But the way that you can communicate with us during this webinar is via chat. So if you are on your iPad, there's a couple of great things in there. The top right, you're going to see a chat bar. Go ahead and pop something in and say good morning to us. Let us know you're alive, you can hear us, and you're there. And then also the second way we love to communicate is the bottom right-hand corner of your iPad or your tablet. You'll see some hearts, which, hearts are always good. They let us know that you are listening and that you like what you hear. So what I always say is, if you like it, give us a heart. And if you don't like it, give us more hearts, and then we'll know. So good morning. Hey, guys, I see everybody putting stuff in the chat. Good morning, John. Good morning, Kara. Good morning, Alicia. Hey, Art. Good morning, Brian. Glad you guys are all on this morning. Hello, Rick. Great to have you on. So, hey, without further ado, we have a lot of content to cover today, and I think it's going to be great. So be sure to keep your eyes and ears peeled. And Jim, I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Tiara. Super excited to be here. We do a lot of our own stuff out there, as Tiara mentioned, but I always enjoy working with Atlas and their team. These guys are rock stars, some of the best marketers I've seen, and probably the one that I see more about the contractor than themselves. And so I'm honored to be here and looking forward to working with you guys today. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to be moving pretty fast. So if you've got a chance to get out a pen, maybe a notebook or something like that to take some notes. This is also being recorded. I'm sure you can get with Tiara after this and get a copy of it as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. So Tiara went through the agenda. I kind of want to paint a picture with this a little bit. The thing that I'm here for today is recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and talking about some training and really doing that for a winning sales team. And that's really kind of the last two things that you might be looking at your company, because most contractors, their thought process is, hey, I need to go hire a bunch of people, get them in place, kind of train them as like this ride-along type training, and it takes them a long time to ramp people up, and it's hard for them to scale. And so when we work with our contractors, we go through our coaching stuff with them, the first thing we're looking at is their leadership and what their leadership strategy is, their culture, their HR. And I know Tiara went through this, but these things have to be done in order. And that's the picture I wanted to paint, that it's hard to train people. It's hard to recruit and hire people if you don't know how you're going to produce what you do, if you don't have a strategy for your sales process, if you don't know how you're going to get leads, if you don't have a process that's defined, written, exactly what it's going to be that you can hand to somebody so they can follow it. Because if you don't have that, they're asking you questions all the time, and you are the process strategy as the owner or sales manager for your company. An accountability strategy, how you're going to get people to do what you want them to do. An HR strategy, so you stay on the straight and narrow and don't get yourself in trouble. That's where I see a lot of contractors after their first 2 or 3 years start to get in trouble because they don't have that HR strategy tightened up. And then your culture, who you're going to be, what are you going to be all about, why you're doing what you're doing, really sets the stage for everything else. So I wanted to kind of paint that picture that those are things you should be thinking about before you get to training and recruiting, hiring, and onboarding. But let's pick it up there and just know that those are things that you should be concerned about as a contractor prior to that. Because if you have those things, you can then put your people into a training program that's ready to go with all the tools, assets, and everything that they need to work for you. So speaking of which, my question to you is, would you work for you? And you can see a couple of pictures there. You got the home office contractor guy, his mess all over his desk and everything, and he's at his house. And then you got the professional office down at the bottom. And really, the things you should be asking yourself is, do we have great leadership? If somebody comes to work for me, would I work for me as a leader? Or would they work for the leaders that I've hired? Do I have a clear, defined culture that, hey, these are the type of people that we're looking for. This is who we are. This is what our vision is and what we're after. These are our core values. This is why we're doing what we're doing. This is our mission. All of those things kind of define your culture. Specific documented incentives and expectations. So our compensation plan, bonuses and contests and things like that are exact expectations, these minimums that we want people to do. In order to be a part of our team, and setting a standard for, hey, if you're going to be on our team, this is the minimum that we expect from you. It's one of the big things that we talk about with our clients is setting some of those expectations prior to somebody coming to work for you, not just go sell as much as you can, which we see a lot out there in this industry. We need to be a little bit more on our end setting what those expectations are. Written standard operating procedures. So this is your process, this is your production process, this is your sales process, all these standard operating procedures that this is the way we do things, and they're written down so they're a resource so people can go to them and refer to them instead of asking us a billion questions. That's what ties us up.
So Jim,
yes.
one question that we have for that is, specific to, these, documented incentives. What are the expectations? Written SOPs. How would you recommend a contractor who's like, yeah, I love this, getting to that point? Is that something that they pull it out themselves, or are there resources out there that they can lean on?
Well, a little self-serving. We're pretty good at that, right? Like we help people define needs we understand across a broad range. So, national averages, we've worked with a lot of contractors. We've coached a little over 270 of them now. We have another 1,500 or so that have been on our site that we work with. And so we see a lot of things. And then also at my time at AccuLynx, I was in the back office of over 1,000 different contractors. So we've seen a lot of different ways to do this. And so we understand a lot of those best practices. But as a contractor myself, this is something I sat down and decided I was going to do. I sat down and said, okay, how are we going to pay people? What are some of the best pay plans and pay situations that I see out there in the sales world? I went and got some help by asking some questions of other good sales organizations, and I also had a background in it. And so bringing that information, I was able to put that all down for them. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think the call to action for you guys that are on this call is, hey, even if you start with a brief outline of what your incentives are, be willing to learn and ask others. Rely on these guys, Contractor Coach Pro, to kind of help guide some of that and give you a structure, even if it's just a template that you fill in. It's a good starting point to get you on the road to executing these strategies. So.
Yes, we can certainly help, but this is something that any of us can do. It's really the thing that a lot of times we just don't want to do. We don't hold ourselves accountable and say, hey, this is something I know I've needed to get done, and I just keep putting it off because I say I'm busy all the time. It's boring. It's not a lot of fun. But the one thing I'll say about it, it changed everything for my business. All the questions were answered, all the situations, the process, everybody knew them, and they knew that there was a reference for it, and it just freed up so much of my time so I could really do what I want to do, which was work on the business. So anybody can do this. We can obviously help, but this is something that you can do on your own.
Great.
So a lead generation plan, like how are we going to get leads? Are we going to door knock and canvas and be a direct marketing type situation, maybe some telemarketing, or are we going to do more marketing stuff? And what kind of marketing? Is it going to be kind of guerrilla marketing style things, or are you going to be more the traditional TV, radio type of stuff? You really need to sit down and figure out, hey, how am I going to generate leads? Maybe it's digital, SEO, social media, those type of things, and really doing a lot of research into those, because there's a lot of false prophets out there when it comes to that kind of stuff. So be careful, get referrals, get references. It's amazing. There's so many vendors out there trying to tell you, hey, we can market and get you leads, but you're going to have to wait 3 to 6 months. And some of those are accurate and some of them aren't. And if you need resources on that kind of stuff, you can always reach out to us. I'm going to give you an email here at the end. You can post it in our group on Facebook, which is Contractor Coach Pro Training Room. And so if you come in there and post questions like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that can generate leads for me, you're going to get a billion different comments from different people, and then we'll filter through them and kind of direct you to the ones that we know have worked well for our customers in the past. A coachable sales system. So we strongly suggest having a sales system. That doesn't mean that it's a word for word robotic, hey, this is how you do things, but there should be a framework and an order to what your guys are out there talking about and doing with your customers, so you can teach it. So it's something you can teach, and those people over time will start to make it their own, but we still want to make sure that we go back and ensure, this inspect what you expect. So if you train somebody to something, you want to make sure you're in the field with them. We'll talk about that a little bit in training. And then quality controlled production. So we want to make sure the service that we're actually selling is rockstar quality. And then last but not least, tech tools. So do we have all these things? Is this a place that I would come and work is really one of the big questions. It's one of the ones that sticks with people whenever I come and speak, and they'll come back to me a year later and say, that question, that would you work for you? I sat and really thought about it. And I always challenge people, close your eyes, walk into your office, and tell me, is there energy there? Are people excited to be a part of it? Is everybody working together? Is it a place that you're proud of when you walk in the door? Are your core values up on the wall? Is there a competitive feel to it, a family feel to it? Is it someplace that, man, I would be excited to go and work every day? Because last time I checked, nobody was sitting in high school going, man, I cannot wait to be a roofing salesperson. They wanted to be astronauts. They wanted to be athletes. They wanted to be all these things. And so we have got to create a great situation for them if we want the best to work for us. So let's talk a little bit about training. I'm going to start with training, then we're going to get into recruiting, hiring, and onboarding. Ride-alongs are not training. That's additional education, possibly. It's one person's way of doing things, but they are not necessarily training. It also takes a tremendous amount of time. If you think about it, it's a verbal form of training. And if you know anything about learning styles, when you learn verbally, like today, you're learning verbally, me talking, but you're also learning visually. There's a presentation going along with this, and there'll be some interactivity as well that also is verbal. When you learn verbally, you only retain about 10% of what you hear. So a guy rides along with you and he listens to what you're doing, he retains about 10% of it. And so the next time you go with him, he doesn't get a whole new 10%, he reinforces about 7 or 8% of what he heard, and he learns a new 2 or 3%. So it takes forever to train somebody up that way. So we're going to talk about how you might do that a little bit differently. So verbal does not get it done. You've got to consider time to money. So the longer it takes me to train somebody, the longer it takes them to start earning money, the more likely it is for them to leave because they're not making enough money. All the promises didn't come true. This, hey, we're going to make a bunch of money doing what we do, actually took a lot longer than I thought, and he just can't pay his way anymore. And so we need to speed that process up. And then group training wins. Training somebody one-off, although it can work over time if somebody can wait long enough, group training, where you get a group of people together, 2 or more makes a group, they can work with each other as well and learn from each other. And so you can use that to your advantage, and you learn exponentially faster the larger that group is. So developing a winning training program. So this is kind of a format that we put together for our clients. And so you want to kind of maybe take some notes here. Like I said, this will be on recording, but your training must be uniform. So each time somebody comes in, they go through this training. It's step by step by step. It's well planned out, it's step by step, and it's got to be a resource. So it could be manual, so there's a manual that somebody gets, and it's a booklet, and so they can go back to it. It could be mobile, so it could be video recordings and stuff like that. Like we have a lot of that. We have training for this stuff. It's really built to fit this. That somebody can hop on, they can watch a video, they can listen to a podcast version of it. They can get a lot of different training through those type of mobile and digital devices. It eliminates most questions, which is what buries us as owners and sales managers and that type of thing. We have all these questions that these new guys have. We forget about those, that we had them too when we started. We just assume now that we've got 3, 4, 5, 10 years under our belt that if I tell somebody once, they should have it, and it just doesn't work that way. So they need a resource to go back to. And so it'll eliminate about 80 to 85% of your questions if you build a really good training program. And it must be practiced consistently. This isn't something you send somebody through for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days or maybe even a couple of weeks, and then we're done. There's no more training, we're all good. No, you come back, you reinforce, and you do it quite often. One of the things I've noticed with training in this industry, we did a little survey, and we found out that contractors train less than 2% of the time. So if you take 100% of the time that we're doing what we do, they train less than 2% of the time. Now, I don't know about you, but I played sports back in high school, and I remember we trained a lot more than 2% of the time to be able to go and play the game. And so we're asking people to go play a game, but they're not really playing a game, they're practicing that game in real time. Like imagine it's a 7th grade football team going and playing against the New England Patriots. It's just not going to happen, and you're going to get beat up a whole lot until you finally get to the point to where you've learned what you need to learn to maybe compete a little bit, but it's going to take forever. So practice is super important. We highly suggest training and practicing at least twice a week, and be taught with skill. And this is another failing in our industry, that I don't think enough people take enough time to really learn how to be a trainer. Just because you're a great salesperson doesn't make you a great trainer. You have to understand learning styles, how people take information in, how to reinforce things, how to coach. And so those are all things that you can get, through a company like ours. We can teach you how to do those type of things, but you can go out to YouTube and find all kinds of how to be a great trainer information, TED Talks, and so many more resources out there, that if we're going to be good at this and we're going to bring people into our situation, we need to be good. We need to take time and learn how to be a great trainer. Did you have a question, Tiara?
No, I was just agreeing. That's a great point.
Yeah, so I see that as a weakness in our industry. The talent to do it is not something that just comes along as a skill, and so you have to go out and learn it.
Yeah.
So continuing on with developing a winning training program, that was kind of the basics of it right there. But this is normally what we'll suggest to our clients, is this rookie quick start. And think of this as maybe week 1 and 2 of them coming into your organization. You're a roofing company, so we need to teach them some roofing basics. I really like new people to the industry. Veterans, for me, tend to be a little set in their ways. They think they know it all. And I'm just advice to all of you. If you think you know it all, you don't. I'm a coach. I coach people every day. I've been in this for 20 years. I don't even know close to all. And I'm still working on it every day to get better at what I do. And we need to probably have that type of mindset as we're working with folks. So teaching the roofing basics, the styles of roofs, how a roof is built, the components, the names and terminology, accessories, those type of things. We got to get that part into them first, just so they understand what we're talking about. Then we're going to talk about lead generation, how we might do that to either generate leads for them or how they can generate leads on their own. And think of this as like the outline for your training that first week or two, probably in a training manual. We build training manuals that actually include all of this information for our clients. And so, and it's something that you could absolutely do. You could take this list and you could say, okay, roofing basics, I'm going to teach that to my people. And then lead generation, I'm going to teach this. And then the inspection, that. And it's in order, if you look at it, of kind of what they do out in the field. And so we're going to teach them how to do an inspection, do it the right way, our way, every single time. How to document that inspection and exactly what needs to be done on that documentation, and the photos that need to be taken, the measurements we need to get. How to estimate if that's necessary for your business. I know some of you as contractors need to estimate because you're more on the retail side of things. If you do storm work, you may avoid it, although as a coach, I would suggest that you learn it and understand it because it becomes valuable to you. How to give your presentation. So that's the next thing. We're going to teach them how to give our presentation. How to close, how to actually, I've given the presentation, I've got to transfer to these closing questions and get this person to become our customer. And I think a lot of people miss that piece on how to close. I've been out with tons of salespeople on sales calls, and you're never going to sell anything unless you ask somebody. And so it's a really key thing. And we say that all the time as like industry insiders, right? If you don't ask for the sale, you'll never get it. Well, how do you ask for the sale the right way? And based on what's happened already up to that point in your presentation. How to deal with objections, how to get referrals, how to do the paperwork. Like, I got everything done, now how do I do the paperwork? How to use the technology that you guys are using, and how to use the CRM. So you may use drones and iPads and all kinds of cool tools. Company Cam is a really cool tool that we like a lot. And so you got all this technology we might be teaching. And then the real big one, if you're using a CRM, making sure that a guy knows how to use it so the right information comes into it, because a CRM is only as good as the data that gets entered into it. So those would be the things that I would really be focused on the first week or two, because I want to get them in the field actually selling as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, this, with this list, if you're working in your business and with your business, a lot of this stuff you should be able to lean on your sales rep. For example, Atlas, we have a lot of the videos and training and resources within contractors portal. So, make sure you're reaching out. If you're an Atlas contractor, I know for sure, reach out to your sales rep. Ask them, say, here's a list of things I want to be able to give. I want to make sure they know all the basics of the product we're offering and the types of products that we go to market with. What is our strategy? What kind of collateral do we offer when we go to a homeowner? And what are the closing techniques that, are covered in previous webinars even? So a lot of that training material that Jim's referring to is our resources that are available. So just be sure to lean on that, dive into your Atlas Pro account so you can utilize some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I say Atlas is so good with helping their contractors. They really put a lot of time and effort into that that I don't see across the board out there. So yeah, use every resource you can get. Don't be shy of learning. I think it's an important thing to do.
For
All
sure.
right, so let's see here, but move it forward. There we go. And so that's the first week or two. It's in an effort to get that person in front of customers. And one of the big things that I left out of that, and really we should talk about, is the final exam for that, and it's the role play part. And we're going to role play with our people. We're going to make sure that when they approach the door, they're doing it this way. When they're giving their presentation, they're doing it in this order. They sound good. They sound polished. They sound like they've said it before. And we usually let our teams down in that area. We train them. We say, hey, this is what you're supposed to say. Here's a contract. This is how you fill it out. This is what we sell, and now go. And we don't really check in on them to make sure that they're doing it the way that we want them to do it. And we never tested them to see if they were any good at it. For example, my average salesperson, as we were training them, we did a lot of door knocking, canvassing, both storm work and retail. So it didn't matter to us. So I believe you can do it in both and do it in both quite well and generate quite a few leads. They would have to pass. They would have to go home, practice, come back. If they didn't pass, go home and practice some more. And until it was polished enough and good enough for me to say, okay, you can actually go knock on a door. And then presentation-wise, same thing. They had to practice it. We modeled it. So we showed them how to do it, went through it, explained why we were doing what we were doing, and then modeled it, and then had them model it back to us, give a little coaching, have them do it again until they get smooth with it. And then we want to get it really polished up. So make sure that you do a lot of role playing with your folks. And so this rookie training camp is the next 2 to 12 weeks. This is really their first 90 days with you, and really working a lot on practice and role play, getting them up to speed on everything that they need to know. So you get into a little bit deeper on objections, how to maybe create an order if you need to do that in your company, the follow-up that's necessary with your clients, more CRM training, getting more in depth with what they need to do there, more technology training, the products, really spending some time on your products at this point in that next 2 to 12 weeks with your salespeople. Talking a lot about upgrades. That would be something I would really have focused on in my rookie training camp as far as products go. Time management, how to be efficient with what you do, because the better you can manage your time, the more you can sell, the more money you can make. And so getting them on a schedule, getting them used to follow up and when to do it, and really working hard with helping them set up a schedule so they can be as efficient as possible, because the more efficient you are, in most cases, you become more effective. Then we have our marketing. So what else are we going to do marketing wise, and giving them a little bit more in-depth training there. Their job duties is taking it further than just selling. And then that last one there, practice, practice, practice. You cannot get enough of that in the first 90 days. And then the last part of this training thing, so think of it as 3 things, kind of boom, let's get them up to speed fast. Okay, next 90 days, we're going to really focus on getting their skills kind of ingrained and set. And then the continuing education thing, you can see it says forever there, it never stops. We should never stop training and striving to get better at what we do. Perfection is not achievable as far as I'm concerned. There's only one person that walked this planet that was perfect. And so we are in this effort of trying to be exceptional. It doesn't mean we're going to be perfect, but we can be the best. We can be a master. And that's what this is all about, is mastering your craft and being great at what you do. So it's reinforcement, there's new products and stuff. We're just talking about other things that they could sell, sales skills. And so getting into some skills and technique on how to actually present even better than what they may have learned initially. Understanding human behavior. This is a big one for sales, is reading body language and understanding what people's body language is telling us in the sales process, and understanding personality types. Each person that we deal with out there has a different personality, and if we know what those types are, we know how to tailor our presentation to fit that. We teach a lot of that on our site on these more what I would call true sales skills. It's not just the store stuff, how to get a contract signed, or even in the retail stuff, how to give a great presentation. It's how to be a great salesperson and how to understand that there's more to it than just following this little path that we gave you early on. How to ask questions and do a great job of it. I think question asking is the key to being successful in sales, because then you can actually tailor your presentation to that situation. And you can also defeat most objections before you ever get to the point of the close if you're great at asking questions. And then last but not least, practice, practice, practice. You cannot get enough. So that's a little bit about training. Are there any questions that we have about training? Anybody out there that I have missed for any reason? Because I can't see those questions for whatever reason.
Yep, nothing's come in yet, but I would ask, Jim, can you address, we have a lot of contractors out there that, have a vested interest, obviously, in making sure that their sales teams are trained up properly, right? So that's a very important, pivotal part of onboarding a new sales team. There's this dichotomy between that, though, and time management. We're going into busy season, a lot of new guys perhaps coming into the business, and our motto is suggesting take the first 3 months and train them. So can you speak to that a little bit? How does that balance go, specifically when you're building a business or you have a busy business? How do you suggest contractors take time to take that next step, and what would that look like practically?
So one of the things that we do is with our clients, we help them build what we call a leadership schedule. And so this schedule, the way it's designed is we list out what all of our tasks are, and one of those tasks would be training. And then we've got to set aside time during our week for those things. And so if we have more tasks than we can handle, we have to then learn how to delegate. So we get into some of those conversations, but we have to make time for training. You think about it, if you could just commit to twice a week, that's 2 hours a week in training that you set aside. It's set aside specifically at this time and this time every single week. We don't do anything else but that. So it's on your schedule. You don't have other things running it over. You set aside some time to create a good training. Now, one thing about it is if you create good trainings and you do 2 of them a week, and that gives you 104 for the year if you did it every week, it's something that can be repeated over and over and over and over and over again. You're done. You don't ever have to do it again. You might do a little bit of fine tuning, but you don't have to recreate the wheel. And so we have that thing built, we put it into our schedule, and we decide, which is a big word, we decide that training is important to our business, and even more important than some of the other things, because if we spend that time in that training and really dedicate to it, you will see the other things that are causing you issues that's taking up a bunch of your time clean up automatically, because we spent so, and it's not just the sales side of stuff that we're teaching. We're teaching, how to manage their time. We're teaching them self-development. We're teaching them best practices. We're teaching them products. We're teaching them all kinds of things that are going to be questions that just wear us down. And we get them out of the way through these trainings. So I think that by training, you actually create more time for yourself, not take up more time.
Great. And then we had another question about reinforcement. So when you say in the continuing education portion of this, the reinforcement, how can you expound a little bit on what that means?
So it could be that I'm in a classroom and we're reinforcing because we have a weakness in our sales team on a specific area. Maybe it's closing, maybe it's objection handling, whatever it is. We could be doing some reinforcement there. But where I really like to do reinforcement more than any place else is getting in the field with my team. Hey, I'm going to do a ride along with you today. And so I'm going to go out in the field and I'm going to watch what they do. And I'm going to say, hey, great job on this and great job on that. Hey, why do you think you lost that sale? And I'm going to challenge them quite a bit with those situations. I'm not going to give them the answers. I got to make them think about. That's some of that learning how to be a trainer and how to be a coach is, hey, you lost that sale because of this, doesn't help anybody. Okay. But if you can ask them, hey, why do you think you lost that sale? Then they have to think about it cognitively and assess. And most of the time they're pretty close. You may have some fine tuning to give to them, but it sticks better. And so that's what that reinforcement is all about. I think in the field probably provides more reinforcement than anywhere else. And so we set aside time for that as well. Any other questions?
Awesome. Nope. Thank
you
for answering those.
Hey, no problem. So now we've got a training program built. We're ready. We're prepared. We're ready to throw people into it, repeat it over and over again, hire an army, and be the most dominant contractor on the planet. Well, before you do that, you might want to ask some questions. And so we call these the essential questions to ask before you hire. What does this person do for you? I've coached so many different companies now that their salespeople, quote unquote, all do different things, and they're expected to do different things. And so this is just a list of some of the things. There's even probably more than this, but do they do any kind of lead generation? Are they having to do any type of marketing? Are they performing inspections, doing documentation, estimating, presenting, negotiating, closing, ordering, job supervision, collections, customer service, you name it, right? Like there's all these things that this person that I'm about to hire is going to do. Do I know what that list is? Because if I don't know what that list is, I can't make sure that I find the ideal teammate, because these teammates, this question I'm asking, who fits what it was I was just talking about? Like we say, hey, this is what my salesperson does. Who fits that, right? And so we have to assess the traits. And so these are intrinsic qualities that folks have. They may not necessarily be born with it, but usually in the first 15 years of our life, we kind of get these traits that this is how we're wired. And so motivation, drive, persuasion, confidence, inspiration, those are things that you can't really teach. You might be able to improve, but it's one of those things you either have it or you don't. And so those are just a few of the ones that we discuss with our clients, that these traits are really important to a salesperson. There's several that you would consider. You would have to ask yourself as a company, what are the traits that I'm looking for? A lot of people get motivation and drive mixed up. They're not the same thing. Motivation is I call it the get rich quick scheme situation. So that's why get rich quick schemes exist, because there's a lot of motivated people out there. You can get them really excited about stuff. They're all ready to do it and fired up and heck yeah, I'm going to buy that program. Yay. And then they don't do anything with it. That person was motivated, but they didn't have drive. They didn't have this ability to say, hey, there's an obstacle in the way. This isn't what they sold me. This is, it's not doing what they said it was going to do, and then jump over those obstacles, run through them, dig under them, climb over them, run around them, whatever it is. They don't have that drive to just be persistent and get after it. Persuasion being a trait that I have this ability to persuade people. And really what that is selling a vision that, hey, this is what this is going to look like whenever we get done. The confidence, there's an air about you that, hey, I know what I'm talking about. And confidence is something that's a trait, but it can be increased through practice. And so if somebody is confident, I can make them very confident by going through practice, and they go, hey, now I know this stuff. So competence is confidence. If you can get them confident in what they're doing, confidence will usually come out. And then inspiration is inspiring people, similar to persuasion, but different. Inspiring people to do what you want them to do because they see the benefit for them. And so those are just some of the traits. There's a really good book out there about this, and you guys can write this down, or somebody can type it into the chat area there. It's called The Perfect Salesforce by Derek Gatehouse, Gatehouse. Really good book. We use it in our coaching. It talks a lot about these traits. They call them talents in that book. They believe very strongly that there's 10 talents of a salesperson. You'll see some commonality between ours and theirs, but that's as far as they take it. And we really believe it takes two things. It takes not only the traits, but there's some skills that this person needs to come to us with. And so communication is a big one. Like, can they actually talk, communicate, carry a thought? the ability to ask questions, their ability to present, their ability to close, and their ability to follow up are just a few. But you have to ask yourself what they are for your team based on what they do. And so if we know what they do, we can assign the traits and skills to that. And then we got to tell them how they're going to grow with our business. Okay. And nobody wants to come work somewhere where there's no opportunity for growth, at least in most places I've seen. And that's really probably not the person that I would want on my team. If they don't want to grow, then that's probably not a great person for my particular team. And so how would that look in your business? Can they be a junior rep and move into a senior rep position? Are they a canvasser that can move into sales? Are they a salesperson that could be a team leader? A team leader could be a manager into a GM into a regional manager into a vice president of sales into CEO. A lot of these companies that we've coached, they're $50, $65 million. They've got CEOs, and those CEOs came from the team. And there was a vision shared with them whenever they started that there's a pathway of growth within our business. So you've got to be able to ask yourself these questions, because when this person comes in to work for us, we have to be able to explain to them there's opportunity with coming to work here that you might not find somewhere else. And why should they work for you? And we asked that question earlier, would you work for you? Now that you say yes, why should they work for you? What's your vision? What are you after? Why? There's got to be something more than selling roofs and making money. That only takes us so far. There's so much opportunity out there in the world today that just doesn't carry us enough anymore. And so what's the purpose maybe? Why are you doing what you're doing? And a good example of that is like Contractor Coach Pro. Our vision is to professionalize the roofing industry. That's really our vision, what we're after, to give that consumer great contractors that can be successful. And it's not about making money. It's about serving the consumer and serving the consumer in a way that nobody has before. And as contractor and the contractor, the way that nobody has before. And a part of that is coaching contractors to win. That's our purpose. That's why we exist. And anybody that comes to work for us, it's what we talk about, what we're headed for, why we're doing what we're doing, and this purpose behind it. And then if you can't get behind that, this isn't a great place to work for you, because you're not going to fit here. If it's all about the money, then you're probably a pretty selfish person, and we have to put you guys as contractors first. And if we put you first, and we help you, and we serve you, and we do what we say we're going to do, and we follow through, and you do very well, then we don't have to worry about money. You're going to tell other people. And so that's our vision. You've got to be able to share that kind of vision with your folks and your culture. How are you made up? What's it all about for you? And so we have these core values that we stick to. It's what we hold ourselves accountable to. Ours just happen to be love, serve, and care, and then master. We have 5 core values: love, serve, care, have fun, and master. And we want to be masters of our craft. We want to be the best coach that's ever existed on the face of this planet. And so anybody that comes to work for us, we're talking about that from day one. And so we've got to be able to explain to our prospective people, why are they coming to work for us? What's our culture all about? And the have fun part of it's big for us. We like to joke around and send funny gifts and pictures and stuff back and forth to each other. And when we're together, we have a lot of fun together. What does that look like for you? Because if you can build a culture like that, the right people, those people that you're looking for, the ideal person will want to be a part of it. The tools you have, and do you have the tools necessary? Do you have a training program? Do you have a training manual? Do you have the videos and stuff? Do you have the technology, drones and iPads and the Atlas Pro, right? Like, do we have those things to help our guys become better? Because I'm selling this to them. When they come in for an interview, I'm selling to them what we really are all about. The benefits to that person by working here, the training we provide, the marketing that we provide, our unique, cool system that we do that nobody else does possibly, and this opportunity with our company that you might not get with anybody else. And so you've got to ask yourself these questions before you ever go out and hire somebody, so that you're prepared to do that hiring and share that story. And we're going to get into this marketing and sales aspect of what we're doing. There's a few more questions you might ask. Am I going to hire a whole bunch or just a few? Am I hiring experienced people or not? Specialists or generalists? So do they have to just do a couple of things, or do they have to do a whole bunch of things? Are they an employee or are they a subcontractor? All of these answers will determine who and how you hire. And there's a bunch of different ways to go about doing this. It's something that I cannot teach in today's session, but it's the questions you should be asking yourself because you're going to tailor your hiring program to that. So in this hiring thing, there's really two things of it. We say hiring, but there's really two pieces. It's recruiting and hiring. So we've got to understand that recruiting is marketing. It's just like you trying to get leads for your roofing business. I'm trying to get leads, these prospects that could become salespeople for us. And so we believe strongly in simple ads that generate the leads. So we would list out some general requirements. I'm going to leave a lot of questions. I'm going to run several different kinds of ads. And then in the ad, the ask for so-and-so, it's going to be a fictitious name because I'm running several ads at one time. I want to make sure that I can measure which ad is doing well and which one isn't. So they might call in and say, hey, I'm calling about the job you have. Is Bob available? And I'm like, hey, no, Bob's not available, but Jim is. Would you like to talk to him about that position? Yes, I would. And boom. And I put a little tick mark by the Bob ad. The Bob ad did very well, and maybe the Bill ad didn't do so hot. So I might want to address that and make it even better. So it's what we would do in marketing. You run several ads in your marketing, and this one's working and that one's not. Okay, can we make it better and keep building towards an even better ad? And then ad placement. Where are we going to put this stuff? We see a lot of different things out there. These are the ones that seem to work best. ZipRecruiter and Indeed being those large search engine type situations where people are going and looking for jobs. LinkedIn is a great place if you're willing to spend some time to look for the right guys or gals in this industry. Social media, putting the word out. I mean, seriously, if you're going to be recruiting, put the word out. Not just, like a Facebook ad, but on your own personal Facebook page and on the Facebook page of all the people that work with you. Hey, we're hiring. If you know somebody you think would work with us, send them our way. There's a website out there called Workable that works pretty well as well. And then don't forget about the newspaper. People still go to the newspaper for the classified section. There's digital versions of it. They're getting better and better, actually. They're super expensive, but if I'm going to spend a bunch of money, I'm going to get a great person, it's worth it. And so think about where you might place those ads. We had a conversation with one of our clients yesterday about this on ad placement, and they were saying, hey, we're not getting a lot of good people. I said, well, where are you putting your ads? We're putting them on Craigslist. Well, okay, who's looking on Craigslist for a job? It's probably people that are not the most reputable on the face of the planet. So really think about where you put those ads based on the type of person that you're looking for. I really like ZipRecruiter. I think it's a good way to get across all those search engines quite well. And there's some other things that we're going to talk to you about recruitment, but this is just solely based on ad placement. So here's a sample ad. This is one of the ones that we talk about with our clients. And again, recruiting is marketing, and this is that sample ad that generates leads. So $100,000 to be a home inspector. You see kind of a red arrow there, all right? It doesn't say a roofing salesperson or a contractor salesperson or anything like that. It says to be a home inspector. And a lot of people would associate that as a little bit better job than a roofing salesperson. I want to see somebody that's interested in doing that type of thing, home inspector, which really is what we are. For really good home inspector, sales part's easy because we're able to provide the information that we need to our clients for them to make a solid decision. I can teach them the sales part. And so limited positions available. I better hurry up. Okay, so that's what that's saying in that ad, right? It's creating a sense of urgency. No experience necessary. Good, I don't have any. Willing to learn. Paid training provided. Yeah, I'm willing to learn. I don't have any experience, so I want to learn. And it sounds like they're going to pay me. Okay, this isn't too bad. Must be outgoing and able to make friends easily. Yeah, I got a lot of friends, and when I go to a party, I talk to people. Yeah, I can do that. Must provide my own transportation. Okay, cool. I got a car and physically able to carry a ladder. And this is just a sample. You'd want to tailor it to fit what it is that you guys have available or don't have available. But it doesn't say anything about being a roofing salesperson. It's more about finding out their hunger for it, their willingness to say, hey, I want to check this out. And it's left a bunch of questions. Okay. But it's also done a little qualification because maybe I don't offer trucks to my vehicle or to my salespeople. So they're going to need their own transportation and physically able to carry a ladder. Ladder, home inspector. Yeah, that makes sense. I might have to get on a roof. maybe I'm not going to make that call, right? But if I can carry a ladder and I'm not scared to get on a roof, I might make that call. And so there's a phone number, ask for Bob to set an interview, and they call in. And I like the calls. It's a little overwhelming. I usually will
Yeah.
delegate this to somebody to answer these calls and kind of go through the first phase of our recruiting process. But I get instant reaction. It's just like whenever you run an ad out there for one of your roofs, right? You put an ad out, they call in. You don't say, hey, you need to send in a resume or send in qualifications to see if you can actually be our customer or not. You take that information, you set up an appointment, you go out and you meet with them. We have to treat these people the same, but we're going to qualify them a little bit more than that in this process. So
that's a great feedback, Jim. And I know we got a time check for about 10 more minutes, but I wanted to ask this question of you when it comes to recruiting. One person said, so what is the most important component? If you're trying to scale your business, build a great sales team, which component when it comes to recruiting do you see most successful?
2, got to have a great leader and a great training program. That simple. You got those 2 things down, you can do pretty well.
Okay.
I think you need to have all the other stuff, don't get me wrong, but those 2 can get you a long ways. So we're on our time check here, 10 minutes. I knew I was going to be tight, so I'm going to move a little bit quickly here. Recruiting is marketing, making your team recruiters. They must have incentives. So if you're going to ask your team to go out and recruit people, give them incentive to do so. Give them an offer of some type or another. If they bring somebody in that sells $250,000, give them $1,000 or $2,500, some kind of incentive. They will actually help you when that person comes in if you do that. They'll be like, hey, yeah, I'll help this guy out in the field. So they can be a little trainer for you out in the field, but make sure that they know your system and your processes. It's a great opportunity, and it really is. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this. It's unlimited. A lot of people think, hey, boy, maybe make 100,000, 200,000, on a high side, maybe 300,000. You can make so much more than that in this industry if you just think a little bit and you start to get some knowledge and gain some knowledge. My top year in sales was $27.3 million. Just me by myself. But that's because I used my brain. I thought about it. I was encouraged to do a few things. I brought some information to this equation, and that's pretty unlimited. And could I have done more? Maybe, if I would have kept on pursuing that. They will recruit others like them, so don't make everybody a recruiter. If you have somebody you don't like, you don't want other people you don't like, so don't make everybody a recruiter. And additional training to help for you. So those guys will help them out in the field. Places to recruit. Car dealerships, health clubs, servers, car wash, kiosks, social media, similar sales systems. That's one that we really focus on quite a bit. Colleges and job fairs, and really there should be another bullet down there that says everybody. Anytime, everybody, everywhere you're looking for talent. You should really be thinking about that as you're walking around every single day. To this day, I still help my clients recruit people. I'll be in Best Buy. I'm like, hey, guy, how much do you make doing this? You're really good at what you do. You should come talk to one of my people. I still do that to this day, and for no other reason than I think this is a great opportunity. It is unbelievable the potential that's in this industry, and not from how much money can I make, but how many people can I serve? If I serve those people well, the money is going to come all on its own. So advanced recruiting. So that's just kind of the basics right there, but you can create your own recruiting platform. So a website, would make it part of my website. I'd have multiple job postings for everything that I'm hiring. I'd have some videos with employee testimonials on there, video of our culture and what we're all about, an application, possibly an assessment. There's a lot of good assessments out there. Objective Management Group is a really good one for salespeople. It's one you may not have heard of, but it is totally focused on salespeople and their sales acumen and ability. So you might go look that up or check with us about it. We can help you out there. And then market it. Market that website. Market it just like you would market anything else. Market it on Google, market it on social media, market it, market it, market it. Get that website out there and become, really and truthfully, we are a sales organization, we're a marketing organization, we're a contractor, we're all those things. But in the big scheme of things, we're a recruiting company. If you change your perspective that way, that, hey, we're a recruiting company, if we recruit great talent, all the rest of this is going to be easy, you'll change the whole dichotomy of what you do as a contractor. So let's talk hiring. I know I'm under a little bit of a time crunch here, but hiring is sales. So I got all these people into my sales funnel. I put them through a little bit of some questions on the phone. They seem to do fairly well on that. And so these essential questions that we told you earlier will determine your process here when it comes to hiring. Develop the basics first, then you can regulate the flow of leads by giving more information or less information in your ads. The less information you get, you're going to get a whole bunch of leads. The more informative you become, the less leads you'll get, but they may be a better fit. And then grow into a pro. So don't try to do all of this at once. So let's do the basics. So a lot of times we go after resumes, a phone interview, a personal interview, and then the offer. And then the advanced part of this, so there might be a questionnaire between the phone interview and the personal interview, maybe an assessment in there as well. Use video interviews. Somebody passes the phone part of this, use video interviews for your second interview. Make sure that they're worth spending your time with in your office. Personality profile, so you got personality tests like Briggs-Myers and the DISC test to make sure they fit with your group and have the behaviors that you're looking for. And then if you're really trying to get after it and hire a whole bunch of people, group interviews are a great way to hire a whole bunch of people. And so group interviews would be more of a presentation. You put this presentation up about what it is that you do. You got 10 people sitting in there. You're really selling it, and you're not selling fake stuff. It's genuine. This is really a great opportunity for folks. We're the best company. We have the best systems. We have the best training. You can make great money, and you can help a lot of people. Who likes that? Okay, you two don't. You can leave. The rest of you stay here. Let's do a little bit of interview, personal time with each one of you. Never hire at that actual interview. And so let's go through some of these basics. Resumes. I personally think they're garbage. Some people get them. They're usually inaccurate and embellished. They're very time consuming for me to get through. Great candidates can be missed. Like this guy has Burger King and he was a stalker at Walmart, and that doesn't tell us who that guy is. And so we dismiss them that, hey, they're not any good. But I'll tell you right now, the best salesperson I ever hired in my entire life was a Pizza Hut delivery guy. The guy sold $6.3 million in residential sales in 2017. He's been in it for 19 years now. And so great candidates can be missed by just relying on resumes. So a phone interview, eliminate all dead weight. That's why we're talking to them on the phone. Can they talk? Can they put together a couple of sentences? We're gonna ask them some short, simple questions. If you guys email us after this, we'll send you what those questions are. Actually, we have them right here, so they're on here. So you can certainly get them right from here. Are they worth the effort? And are they worth you taking more time with them? This is maybe a 5-minute phone call. And then master this question asking thing before you delegate it to somebody else so you can know how to coach and teach them. So we've got several positions available. What's your employment background? I don't want to just know what they were doing before this. I want to know everything they've done because I want to find the one that's most like what we do, and we're going to talk about it. So what do you like most about that job? And if they give me a really short answer, oh, I like selling cars. Okay, so what about selling cars did you really enjoy? And I keep asking questions and digging till I get a story, a little bit longer answer. And because I start to see some of his traits and some of his skills, and I go, this guy's not too bad. What'd you like least? Well, I hate working long hours and I had to work in the evenings and my boss was a pain in the butt. This guy might not be a good fit for us if that is what you're looking for. What motivates you? And most people will say money as their instant response. Why? Why does money motivate you? Because we don't think about that enough. Money's just a tool. You're actually after something. I got to figure out what this guy's after. Can I help him get to that thing? Do you have transportation? I'm just confirming our ad. Are there any limitations to when or how much you can work to earn a 6-figure income? And I don't want this. Well, I coach my kids' baseball team on Tuesday and Thursday night, and I can't work Saturdays ever. That's not my guy. For me personally, it might be your guy, but not my guy. I want the guy that answers me and says, man, I don't 6 figures. I will go stand at an intersection naked, spinning a sign around if you want me to. That's the guy I want. He's hungry. I can teach him. Come on in. And then if you're not sure, challenge a little bit. Say, I'm not sure that this is the right thing for you. I don't think you fit what it is that we're looking for. And if they go, okay, and hang up, you were right. If they go, hey, hold on a second, you haven't interviewed me yet, give the guy a chance. He's probably worth it. So that's kind of the basics of the first part. Then we have this personal interview. So I went through the phone interview. He sounded pretty good. I'm like, all right, let's do our personal interview. That could be done by video or it could be done in person. It's all about those attributes or traits and skills. I've got some interview questions that I'm going to be asking that are focused on those traits and skills. I've developed these questions. I actually will give you that. If you email us after this, we'll give you those interview questions whenever we get done. There'll be an email for you to do that with, and we'll give you those interview questions. There are also, you can find those in that book, The Perfect Salesforce. Never in the power position. So don't sit behind your desk and them on the other side. That just makes people sweat, makes them uncomfortable. You want this to be casual and comfortable. The more comfortable people are, the less they'll lie, okay? And we want them to be telling us the truth. We want to have them feeling like they're talking with a friend. And so I'll sit on the other side of the desk. I'll sit in a conference room and not at the head of the table. I'll meet them at lunch. I'll do it a lot of different ways. Maybe I have a nice little lounge area, and we'll just do it casual and comfortable. I've got a little interview scorecard, so I'm scoring these folks on whether I think they're worthy or not. For us, it's a scale of 1 to 10. If they don't score a 7 or above, they're not going to get hired, just the way it is. I set the expectations of what's going to happen in this interview and what we expect of people, and follow through with, I've asked them all their questions. Okay, this is what we do and exactly how we do it, what we expect of our people. If they're still in, now I'm kind of excited. They've scored a 7 or 8 or 9. All right, but I'm not going to hire them right then, okay? First off, you never hire on an instinct. Instinct will fail you because most of us go, man, that guy's going to be great. We've all had this guy. Man, he's great. He looks good. He talks good and all this other stuff. We hire him and he's terrible because he can't do the paperwork. He can't do the technology. Can't do the follow-up. Might even be able to sell, but he's a pain in my rear end. So we can't ever hire on instinct or emotion. It needs to be analytical, and those questions about those traits and skills, and then scoring that person based off of those traits and skills. Do they fit or not? And then never hire at the interview. Say, hey, thanks a lot, appreciate it. We've got more people that we're going to be looking at. We will call you back and let you know, would you be available tomorrow night or Friday or whatever day it is that you're going to do your callbacks. Set a specific time so that you know you're going to get a hold of them, get their best number to get them. And then I usually will finish with, if I do offer you the job, will you take it? I want to see if they're in or not. And so if they're like gung-ho and excited about it and I've got the right scores, I'm probably going to hire that person, but I want to make them sweat it out a little bit. I don't want them to think that it's just anybody can get this job. And then that book, The Perfect Salesforce by Derek Gatehouse, will help you with a lot of that personal interview. The offer. So I'm going to call them back. I'm going to congratulate, hey man, well done. You did a great job in your interview. We've interviewed a lot of people and you were one of the few that we selected. Congratulations for making the cut. We think you're going to be a great part of our team. I can't wait to introduce you to everybody. Our next training date starts on Monday at 8 o'clock. We expect you to be there. This is the way we want you dressed. This is the things you need to bring. And I set those expectations. And I start putting in exactly how I lead. Now, if you want to get advanced, you can put a questionnaire in between your phone interview and your personal interview. Give them something to do so that they prove that they really want this job. They maybe can handle a little bit of technology. We use Google Forms for those. Sales assessments, so I make them take an assessment to see if they're going to actually fit maybe between that phone interview and the personal interview. I may do a phone interview, a video interview, and then a personal. And then I put those questionnaires and sales assessments in between and personality tests. And those group interviews are all focused on mass hiring. I've got an interview presentation. It's all about eliminating the weak. And then a short personal interview afterwards, so I can't ask quite as many questions, but I've done a pretty good job of assessing them throughout that little presentation of whether they're in or not. And then everybody says hire slow, fire fast. I'm not. I'm hire fast, fire fast. These people, we're getting them into something that they never thought they'd be doing before. We need to go ahead and get them hired if we think they score well enough and they fit what it is that we're looking for. But if they're not doing what you want them to do, get them out of the equation because they're just poison to everybody else. And so hire fast, fire fast. Onboarding. Onboarding is service and delivery. So we had marketing and sales. Now we're going to serve and deliver. And so we want to make this thing special. We're going to introduce them to our team. We're going to give them a little onboarding gift. So it's got a couple shirts, a hat, pitch gauge, whatever kind of little cool tools you want to put in there, some fun stuff if you want. A lot of our people, like I used to put an IOU for a beer. At any point, anytime you walk into my office, you show me that IOU for a beer, we'll go talk. And I'll take them out for a beer. some of our people will put Snickers in there, so and that Snickers isn't for them to eat, it's to hand to somebody that's in a bad mood that day. There's all kinds of neat little fun things you can do. It makes it different, it makes it special, and they want to be a part of this culture that you're doing. Get the paperwork done, so get the boring stuff out of the way, all that HR stuff. Set the expectations is what we're going to be doing over the next few days. Determine their why. Why are they here? Why are they working for you? Set some goals with them, and then start training with culture. Okay, your training starts first with culture and explaining what your culture is all about, and then take them through the rest of your training program. Be a leader. All right, you got to come with confidence. You've got to be trained. You got to be a good coach, and so make sure that you're ready for that. Hold them accountable. All right, so each day you're tasking them with something to do from that training, whether it be learning how to measure, creating an estimate, giving a presentation, their door knock pitch, whatever it is. Hold them accountable to getting those things done, because if they don't get those things done, they're probably not going to do what you want them to do in the field. And then this attitude of get better every day. Like today, when I'm doing this, I'm trying to get better at this each and every time that I do these. That should be our attitude with all of our people. And I usually like to finish this with everybody on my team that's a leader that's out there doing hiring. Your job is to drag those people that you've hired kicking and screaming every single Friday to cash checks. That's your job. Your job is to help them get to their why, to achieve their goals, and to serve them in any way you can to get them there. And if you have that attitude, it'll go very well. So scalable team, best practices, uniform, repeatable system. So we've got the system that we can do over and over and over again. Nepotism kills sales teams. So be aware, like if you got brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, and all that stuff working for you, they will tend to take advantage unless you're a very strong leader. And I have had them work for me. Some worked out well and some did not, but they knew the expectations before they came in. If they didn't meet them, they weren't treated any differently from anybody else. With great power comes great responsibility. So you're setting yourself up as this leader, you have a big responsibility to lead and to become that leader that these people are expecting and living up to what it is that you said you would do. It's all about capacity. And so can you handle the number of people that you bring in? And I always say start small. You know, my job initially is to be me and hire my replacement. All right, so now I got that guy. Now I'm going to hire another guy and then another guy. I'm going to get to 3, and those 3 people will probably sell about as much as I can do by myself, because they're not the owner. They're not the person that's running this business that their livelihood is all about. Now, their livelihood is about it, but they could go get a new job. You can't. So they're going to treat it just a little bit different for you. So don't set expectations where your expectations are. Realize most people are going to work to about 80%. Your best people work to about 80% of what you do. There is no standard for management, okay? And so what I mean by that is there's not like sales manager and salespeople. There's so many different ways that you can do this. You can have team leads, you can have sales managers, you can have project coordinators. There's so many different ways. Customer service people that help out. There's really no standard for that management. It's something that you should go and study about what's going to be the best management style for you. So the roles, I got to figure out these roles. Who's in my team? And so do we grow those roles into other things? So maybe it's just you and a few salespeople, but what's next? Am I going to have some junior salespeople that become senior, and then team leaders, and then sales managers, general managers, regional managers, vice president of sales? How big do you want to grow this thing? You need to figure out what that looks like before you ever decide to grow it. Compensation. This is one that Tiara asked me to include, and we can talk about this. I feel like there'll be a billion questions, but we can talk about this. I probably can't get into too much detail because all of you do it so differently. But incentive and expectations. No one does anything without incentive. And so if you don't give people proper incentive, or you feel like people aren't doing what you want them to do, it's your incentive is wrong. And incentive is not necessarily money. Incentive can be a lot of different things. It can be a reward. I could get a gift card. I could get a trophy. I could get all kinds of stuff. I could get just plain old recognition. So I got to give people incentive to go and do what we want them to do. And why you don't get what you expect. Your incentive is wrong. There's no accountability. Like you say this is the thing and they don't do it. You don't hold them accountable or let anybody go, so it's not real. There's a lack of leadership, so you're not following through and doing what you said you would do. And there's not alignment between your values and their values. You're saying one thing but doing a different thing, and they're going, hey, wait a minute, that's not the case. And so that's where you get into trouble with not getting what you expect. you'll notice it's all about us, not about them. So if we've hired the right person and they're not giving us what we expect, we need to really look at ourselves and start to understand a little bit more about how to lead these teams and put the right incentive in place. So the basics of compensation: who's responsible for profit? Whoever that is going to get paid based off of profit. So if my salesperson is responsible for making a job profitable, I should really look at paying him based off of the profitability of the job. If I, as the owner or leader of my company, have decided that this is the way we're going to sell and this is how much it's going to cost, and there is no room for wiggle room, really, we've determined what the profit's going to be before that sales guy has anything to do with it, I'm not going to pay him off of profit. I'm going to pay him off of the revenue of the job. So that's a real simple way to figure out how you want to pay people off of profit or revenue. Don't leave it to human behavior. Don't say go sell as much as you can. Set at least minimum expectations. That's the least that you should do, okay? So I want everybody on my sales team to sell at least $50,000 a month, or 75, or 100, or whatever number that is that you can believe in, but you've got to believe in it for them to be able to do it. Hold everyone accountable to it. So if somebody's not hitting it, all right, you're on probation next month. All right, you didn't hit it 2 months in a row, I don't think you can be a part of our team anymore. The amazing thing is that first person you let go, everybody else hops on board, and you probably did the right thing for that person. If you hold on to people and they're not being successful with you, not only are you doing your company a disservice, you're doing them a disservice. They should go find something that's better for them. You think you care for them, but you really don't, because you don't take it that far. Determine the expected performance. So we have a minimum up there, this minimum expectation, but what's the actual expected? I expect somebody, so minimum is 50,000, but I expect somebody to sell 75,000, and then set a goal. We'd really like to see you hit 100, okay? So those might be how you set that up. We call that quota, expectations, and goals: minimum, expected, and then goal. And then compensate accordingly. So if I sell less, I get less commission. If I sell what's expected, I get a little more commission. If I sell goal, I get even more. And you'll start to incentivize people differently, and they'll start pushing a little harder, especially if you do it by the month. And so if you say, hey, this is what we expect, it's 75,000, it's a week to go in the month, I'm sitting at $69,000, I'm going to push pretty hard to get that extra percentage, instead of just leaving it out there and going, well, I can go get that next month, no big deal, it's a referral, yeah, they'll be there. There's no push for me to go and get that. There's no incentive. And so quota, expectation, and goal: minimum incentive, expected incentive, and then your highest incentive, and your compensation would reflect that. And I knew I was on time restraint, so I had to go a little quick through that. Do we have any questions? I'll let those questions kind of get populated. And I'm going to put up here our email address, phone number for Nathan. He's going to love that I put that on there. Also his email address. You will be able to contact him for a free coaching session. If you guys like what you saw today and say, hey, we're interested in maybe doing some coaching with you guys, we have that available to you. We're not here to sell it to you. It's just something, if you want to check it out, we'll do a free coaching session with you, and we'll send you an assessment and let you take it, and then it'll help us guide through that coaching session to help you then and there. No strings attached.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I would just piggyback on that, just to say, are on this call and have not, maybe you weren't familiar with Jim and Contractor Coach Pro, and you had some nuggets. Definitely, I highly encourage you to take advantage of their time and the free coaching session. This isn't something they give out often, so make sure you take advantage of that. And obviously, this webinar was packed full of really good content in terms of really developing a leadership team and how to train that talent. And so, Jim, thank you so much for just the investment of time and the passion you have for really helping these guys on our call and our community to not just do good work, but do great work. So really appreciate you.
Thank you, Tiara. Really appreciate it. Last thing I want to mention, there's a little promo code there. If they're looking for a fast way to train their people and they don't have time to put a training program together, we have one pre-built and ready for you.
Yes.
All you've got to do is use that promo code Asphalt Life on our website under the membership section, and it'll save them $50 a month off of our training content.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this content with our audience. And don't forget, go ahead and jump on atlasroofing.com/Atlas webinars and complete the quick survey there. And of course, we will, as always, will make this content available for you all via Asphalt Life. So be checking for that within the next 24 hours. And Jim, again, appreciate you and Nathan and your time today.
Hey, no problem. And I got the list of questions here. I'll try and get some answers back on some of those today if I can do that. I don't know if I have that ability, but we'll give it our best effort. If not, just call us directly and we'll get them answered for you.
Yeah. We have, if there's additional questions and you want to pop them into the queue, we'll definitely have a list and we can send out a link to some responses, and then also be sure to schedule that one-on-one time with Nathan as a follow-up. So great resources and great info today. So thanks, guys, and have a great day. Make it a great Thursday.